Multi-day moto-camping trips are a great way to get out and explore the backcountry. I've gone on many of these trips over the last few years, and I've picked up a lot of tips and tricks. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 6 things that nobody tells you about long-distance dual sport trips. Stay tuned. Starting off with tip number 1, your bike will break. I don't care if your bike is basically brand new or very, very used. Odds are that over the course of a long distance trip, something will break on your bike. Often this is in the form of a flat tire, damage from a tip over, or a true mechanical failure. I recommend you bring a basic flat tire and toolkit on every trip, and also be sure to service and check over your bike before you leave. Any small mechanical issues you find will become big mechanical issues on a long trip, so make sure you take corrective action. There is nothing more annoying than going on a bike trip with someone who arrives on a bike that is already falling apart at the start. All it does is cause trouble. Tip number 2, don't pass gas. This is not only great advice for elevators and airplanes, but also dual sport trips. When riding in remote and semi-remote areas, be sure to buy gas at every opportunity. It's pretty obvious advice, but it's just so easy to ride past gas stations and say, oh yeah, I'll get it at the next one. I've been burned by this a number of times because sometimes the next gas station is closed, out of fuel, or Google Maps lied and it just straight up doesn't exist. In these circumstances, I've had to double back, sometimes a very long time, and sometimes even worse, I've actually ran out of fuel. So although it may seem inconvenient to always be stopping at fuel stations, these short stops are much better than the major delay that running out of fuel will cause you. Tip number 3, be fluid with your plans. Planning is obviously an important part of any dual sport trip. However, it's important to remember that even the most well-planned trips will often encounter issues when actually on the ground. Trails and roads get blocked or closed, bikes get broken, people get broken, there's wildfires, flooding, all sorts of things can happen. So it's important not to be too rigid in your planning and be ready to adapt to whatever ends up happening. So a big component of that is being prepared to fix bikes, fix people, and to have the ability to plan new routes on the fly. I always bring a paper map with me for these circumstances and a GPS, but the paper is certainly nice. I almost never book accommodations in advance on dual sport trips. 1, because I'm often camping, and 2, because when things go wrong, it's nice to not have a set destination that you have to get to by a certain time, and I really enjoy the freedom that that brings. So be fluid, be ready for anything, but still make a bit of a plan. Tip number 4, be ready for any weather event. It's pretty easy in the middle of the hot summer months to think that your entire trip will be graced with beautiful weather and then decide to save some space in your kit by abandoning your rain gear. Don't do this. Even if it's tempting, always bring at least some basic rain gear and a couple layers so that when the weather changes on a dime, and I don't care where you're riding or what season it is, it's always possible you aren't stuck riding in misery or worse, getting hypothermia. The same also applies to your camping setup. It's important to bring enough equipment that you're warm in bad weather. It doesn't mean you should overpack and bring the whole house and the kitchen sink, but don't underpack as well. I see that almost as much as overpacking. Tip number 5. It's better to arrive at camp or your destination a bit early than it is not at all. Let me explain. Picture this, you've just had an epic day of riding and arrive at a great campsite at around 5 o'clock. Everything seems great, but because there's so much daylight left in the day, you decide to keep riding in the hopes of finding another great camp spot. But what often happens is you never find another camp spot, or the one you do find is full, or it's nowhere near as nice as the other one, or night sets in and you're still riding looking for a spot. This has happened to me a few times now, and it sucks every single time. So I've adopted the philosophy that it's better to arrive at camp a little bit early and chill, maybe go for a swim, make a meal, than it is to keep riding into the dark and possibly never find camp and have to set up on the side of the road or something worse. Setting up camp in the dark really sucks, so just pack it down a little early, enjoy the ride, unless you absolutely have somewhere to be. Alright, tip number 6. This one should be pretty obvious, but bring cash. Always bring some cash when you're riding on trips or even just day trips. You never know when there may be a power outage somewhere and cards won't work, or when you may need to buy some gas or something else from someone that doesn't accept cards. It's also worth noting that money talks. So if you're in a tight spot in the bush and maybe you gotta pay someone for some help or a ride, having some money to entice them can go a long way, and you were gonna spend this money anyways. It costs you nothing to stick it in your wallet. Hope you learned some tips and tricks from this video. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite dual sport trip tips are, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe. Have a good one and keep riding.